This is Chicago. Doors open on the left at Chicago.
Welcome to Chicago. Welcome to Chicago. Welcome to Chicago.
This is Chicago. Doors open on the left at Chicago.
Welcome to Chicago.
Welcome to Chicago. You're tuned into the TCSF podcast with Big Z and JC Dynasty Fantasy Football, coming straight to you from the 606 Media Studios and powered by True Chicago Sports Fans. This is episode 288, another Bulls emergency trade podcast. Can't believe we've done 3 emergency podcasts this week on the Chicago Bulls. But let's get into it. And if you know, we're sponsored by 606 Media and True Chicago Sports Fans, but definitely the Chicago Bulls made more moves today. One player that I didn't want moved because he was showing a lot of growth, averaging almost 16 points in January, showing growth, a defensive stopper, a guy you could have extended for it would not have cost you. And Ayo Dosunmu, an Illini kid, local kid, just a guy that got traded for Rob Dillingham, Leonard Miller, and 4 second-round picks. JC, what is with this GM and second-round picks?
I don't think he knows that first-round picks exist.
I think he thinks OKC owns them all right now.
I sat here and had like a conversation with like my guys, and I basically said like, in what I don't know what negotiations he was having, but in those negotiations, if someone offers me 4 first-round picks, I'm literally looking him in the face and just gonna say, stop fucking around and just give me a first.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not taking 4 of your scraps. Give me a first and then we'll talk. Otherwise, and again, you can have it protected. You can have it whatever. I don't care if it's 3 years down the road from now. Like, but you're going to give me a first. You're not going to sit here and give me 4 seconds. Like, I'm sorry. Like, what are we doing? If I'm the owners and I look at this and like, you couldn't get 1 first-round pick for Coby, Ayo, Vooch, or any of these other guys.
Zach LaVine,
Not one.
DeMar DeRozan, Caruso, Lonzo Ball, the entire build that he put together, not 1 first-round draft pick. The only thing we got out, the best trade was for Giddey. Caruso for Giddey, we fleeced him. But other than that, every single move he has made has been horrible. Horrible.
And let's talk about the fact that Dalen Terry was a first-round pick that never developed, that never panned out, and you just traded him away. So, not only are you getting back scraps that other teams are basically offering you for nothing, because like if you had told me like, hey, we are getting all these second-round picks put together to legit offer Pat Will and the picks to someone else, I'd be like, okay, at least there's a plan for like all these second-round picks. We now have, I believe it's 13 second-round picks.
14 total second-round picks through 2032, with only 5 of them being their own. So they just 9 new ones.
Right, because I knew we had 9, but I thought I read that there were 13 total.
You're on 5-1. Big deal.
But nonetheless, if you told me I have 13 second-round picks, you're telling me there's not a team out there that you could have been like, hey, we will give you 6 of these second-round picks to take Pat Will off of our team so that we can get our $20 million in cap space back.
Yep.
Because that's what I would be doing. I would call every single team and be like, hey, do you have the cap space? Can you take Pat Will? We would literally pay you in capital, in picks, to take this guy off of our team for the next 2 or 3 years until his contract ends and he is booted out of the league because the contract. Because, I mean, let's face it, like he's not going to make a team once this is all said and done. And if he does, it's going to be league minimum. So the bottom line is I don't know what the Bulls are doing. There's no rhyme or reason. I thought we would have traded, Sexton or, some of these other guys today, and we still have, is it 9 guards?
Let's see. What do I have here? Is that what? My mouse is all over the place right now. Looks like.
Yeah, I know. I've been jumping around.
Yeah. No. I'm looking. No, I had a picture here. All right, we've got Rob Dillingham. That's 1. Josh Giddey is 2. Jaden Ivey is 3. Trey Jones is 4. Yuki is 5. Where are we at? Colin Sexton is 6. Anthony Simons, not Simmons, is what was that? 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And what's the kid they just brought up? McClurg. I think he's a guard, isn't he? The guy McClurg, I think so. Yeah, they have
the dunk contest.
Yeah, I think they brought him up
forward. I honestly I don't know. It to me the bottom line is that we have way too many guards, which I understand. Like some of them are going to be restricted free agents, or I think Ivy is a restricted free agent. We said yesterday.
Right.
Simons is an unrestricted free agent, I believe. So
again, let that guy walk anyways.
Right, he's gonna walk anyways. So, like, why we couldn't have found a team to get rid of Simons to, I don't know. Like, I understand maybe he's not the best, but we just saw he had a game where he put up, I think it was 27 points, was it? Or
27
points, something like that. And again, I understand he's a role player, that he started that game because the starting point guard was out. But I mean, that's a flash that he can do it, that he can put points up. The bottom line is the Bulls are in a disaster situation. There's, as far as I am concerned, like AK needs to be fired, just start over. Like, let's just start there, because even right now we are 13th in the division or in the conference. And I think it's too late to tank.
Well, they got 30 or 31 games left. It's not going to be a pretty road. And then if you're trying to tank, then you might have to come up with some ghost injuries from Buzelis and for Giddey to make sure that they guarantee that they lose, right? You have the new Bulls, Rob Dillingham. I watched a little bit of clips on him. He is very Ayo-like in the fact that he looks to go to the basket. Where he's better is that he can create off the dribble. He's a pretty good passer. He's comfortable, shooting from all over the place. He's good for the offense that Billy wants to run, which is that run and gun. And then defensively, he's a weakness. So perfect for Billy's offense because they don't play defense. So that's exactly what the kind of player they got. Again, he's very young. He wasn't getting playing time.
Yeah, I was gonna say the one promising thing is that he's 21 years old.
Right.
So like there's still room for development. When you sit there and look at like Coby and Ayo and whatever, they were like 25, 27. So it's one of those where it's like, okay, like they should be peaking within the next like year or two. And to me, it's
go ahead.
The talent level. Yeah, I mean, because like you want to peak like in that late 20s to early 30s, right? So It's one of those where it's like Coby and Ayo should be peaking right now. And it's one of those, like, we constantly talk about the inconsistency in their game. Like they'll have, like Coby will have a game where he scores 30, then 2 nights later he'll score, 10. And it's that up and down roller coaster that, look, he'll probably be great on the team he goes to. But for the Bulls and the system that we're running and everything else, it just wasn't working.
No, it wasn't working. It wasn't working, and the Bulls haven't developed any players. Everybody that's been drafted has not really been developed. I know Coby put in the work to get where he's at, just because he was trying to challenge Zach LaVine for his spot. And when he got his spot when Zach was out, that's when you see him flourish. But he still has inconsistent games, like you said. The thing with Coby, I think that's the max. I think he's not going to get any better than what he is. He's going to be an inconsistent NBA player. He does have the balls to take the last shot, but he is a black hole when he gets the ball. He's not looking to distribute. He's looking to shoot. Okay, that's great on a good team that has spacing and has a good coach that knows how to scheme him open. As for Ayo, I felt like he never got the opportunity to shine. He was always behind someone, right? He was behind Caruso on the bench and behind this guy and behind that guy. And even when guys went down, they kept him on the bench to run the second team. Then he gets hurt. And then he comes back and, they bring in Buzelis and Gideon and all these guys. And, okay, back to the bench you go. He finally got a month and a half to be able to show the league what he can do. He's always been seen as a defensive stopper, a guy who can play defense down the stretch, especially in the fourth quarter, a guy that you can rely on. And offensively, he was non-existent until he started working on his three-point game. Now, as you've seen in the last month and a half, he's driving to the hole. He's not scared. He's showing you that he's maturing. I think within a year, Ayo can, bust out. Ayo can bust out. And he's going to be playing somewhere else. He's not going to be playing.
And hey, look, we talked about yesterday that, because I brought up yesterday that there was a lot of heat on Twitter that a lot of teams, I guess, were reaching out and asking about Ayo. And so like that tells you right there is that, the league even looks at Ayo better than I do, and I'm fine with that. Again, I've brought it up that, and I'll restate it again today. There's only two guys that were on my list as untouchable, and that was Gideon Buzelis. Everybody else can go. Everyone.
And that's exactly what they did. That's exactly what they did. They got rid of everybody but those two guys. So
yeah, but do you think you get a first? No, of course not. Four second round picks, dude. Like legit. And then not only that, it's the worst of the Denver Charlotte picks that got me. It's like so not only are you getting 4 first round picks, you're trading for the worst of the 2 fourth round picks that they own. And it's just like this is the competency level that we are dealing with. That it's like not only are we getting second round pick, and I understand, like, me and you were discussing off air that there are players that get drafted in the second round, but we know that hit rate.
Yeah.
The further you get back in the draft, that the hit rate gets worse and worse. You go from a 40% hit rate to a 20 to a 15 to a 10 to an 8, and not everybody in the second round. How many Bulls players have we drafted in the second round that, have never become a player? How many first round players have we drafted that never became a player? So like, what I mean? It's one of those, like, again, I really feel like the GM needs to be fired. The president of basketball operations needs to be fired. Like, we need a whole new front office, because I don't even trust these guys. Like, okay, great. You got 13 or 14 picks. I don't trust you to make the picks, because the picks you've made. I
don't trust you to make the picks.
Noah Assange.
No.
I know he's hurt. Hasn't done anything. I understand he came from, I believe it was France or, overseas.
Yes.
So but it's one of those where, again, he was playing in France, which, is kind of like the European league to the NBA. And he was playing pretty decent. You're telling me he came here and can't even pick up more than 5 minutes a night? Again, I don't know what we're doing. Like, where is the talent evaluation? Where is
there is the question. There is the question. The talent evaluation, it starts at the top, right? Do you have top tier scouts? And are these scouts able to voice their opinion? And is that being heard by the assistant GM and the GM? Is that being relayed all the way up to the top of the ownership, whether it's Michael or Jerry, whoever's pulling the strings from up there, right? We don't know. Here's the issue. You couldn't get one first round pick for any of these players that we've had for the last 8 years.
No, and honestly, like I would love an article to come out about, how other teams' front offices view the Bulls.
Oh, we're second to last worst team viewed by the NBA. The first would be Sacramento. They make the dumbest trades as well, and we're right behind them.
Yeah. But like I mean, like I need hey, this is off the books. You can't use my name, but you can quote me.
Actually,
Like,
yeah, I think that was asked. I think it might have been on yesterday's show on 670 The Score, where they asked Nick Friedel, who used to cover the Bulls, and he was asked about like in your opinion, what are the two worst franchises? He's like, well, just everyone's just talking about how Sacramento is just making dumb moves. They gave away perennial all-stars to get essentially the Chicago Bulls on their team. And then you got the Chicago Bulls doing dumb moves, can't get a first round pick, just getting second round picks like they're pests, they're popping out of the pest dispenser. Like, what are you doing? So the league does not believe that he's a good GM.
And when you think, right, exactly. And that's the problem, is that when you have a guy who the league looks at as a joke, they're gonna fleece him. And that's pretty much what happened. Because I mean, like it's like the draft day movie for the NFL, where it's like, nah, you know what? I'm gonna give you 3 seconds. Yeah, and you're gonna take it. And you're gonna be happy. Like, I mean, it's the arrogance of these other teams of basically like, hey, watch this. I'm gonna be able to take one over the wool, like pull the wool over this guy's eyes, and he's gonna think he got a great deal, because they're incompetent. But
yeah,
to get back to it, I mean, the one thing I will say, the Rob Dillingham, he's 21. All right, great. You know what? At least he's a young player. All right, that we got back. Leonard Miller, right? 22 years old. Great. Young player.
He doesn't have an offensive game. He's not a shooter yet.
I understand that. I understand. But
he's young and raw. Young and raw. And that's a lot of the players that they picked up. Young and raw.
All right. Nick Richards, center, 28. But we needed a center. Now that, like, when we got rid of Vooch to finish out the season, we needed a center. It's one of those, I understand he's like not the greatest center, but it's one of those where, we had a need at the position, because who are you going to start for the rest of the season at center? Who we had on the team wasn't going to, fill the bill. So
Jalen Smith needs somebody to spell him. Yeah. And Nick Richards is 6'11". He's a little bit older. He's a veteran. He's 28.
He's 28. But I mean, like 28, like that's not terrible age wise.
No.
Again, I can't really, I don't know too many of these guys, and their game. So I can't really speak on their game, but I can speak on the age. I can speak on that kind of stuff, because, like I said, I'd rather pick up a 22-year-old, Leonard Miller, and hope that, hey, there might be some development still, rather than picking up a 28-year-old who rode the bench for all these other teams and a four second round picks. You know what I mean? It's like, again, we're being fed the scraps of the bench of these other teams, and they're getting stars that are going to help them in the playoffs.
It's frustrating, because you traded a bunch of these expiring contracts, which we wanted. We expected a bigger return. And I watched a press conference today from AK, and he couldn't really give you any straight answers. What was your thought going into the trade deadline? When did you start thinking about this? He couldn't give you an answer. why not do this last year? And he was like, well, we were hurt last year. And then, it was Buzelis' first year. He skips around the question, doesn't answer the questions. He does
Because he
not
doesn't
understand.
know.
He doesn't. He doesn't.
You
I
know,
think he got lucky where he was before he got here. He got he did get a lottery ticket in getting was it Denver? God, why am I so bad with names? The center.
I mean, the bottom line is,
Denver.
I remember when we got AK and everyone was super excited because they thought he was going to be this fantastic and great GM. And it's like, the guy is clueless.
Yeah, he got Jokic. Remember, he got Jokic in the we talked about it. Wasn't he drafted in the second round or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, great. He got lucky on that one, but he tends to draft a lot of guys from like overseas and from Europe, and then like they don't really pan out here. Like don't get me wrong. Like he drafted Buzelis, and Buzelis has done fairly well for us. However, at the same time, like Buzelis had a great rookie season, and it's like, okay, he's still kind of having that same level of production. So it's like, no, I need to see more. I need to see improvement. I need to see better. And it's like, okay, if we're just sitting here at ground level and everything is equal, like, again, that's coaching. That's talent evaluation. That's everything else. Like there's no growth within this organization. I mean, how many players have gone on to other teams and flourished? You know, we talked about Bobby Porter. We talked about who is the white kid?
Oh, Larry Marketing.
Yeah, Marketing.
Yeah, here we go. We got a question from Matt. Are the Bulls better after all these trades? No. Or is the future better because of these trades? Both. It's both no. So we were stuck in purgatory. I mean, that between the 10th and the 7th spot, just because you changed the way you play, and the players that you have do not fit that system. Okay, what I mean by that, they went from having set offenses to, we're going to run and gun. This is the reason these guys are getting hurt, because they're playing back to backs, playing run and gun when they've never done that. So these guys are going down, and now you're having these backups that you never developed, playing in games, now you're getting blown out by 20 and 30. There's your issue with that, okay? So are these trades going to help us? No. I don't see this administration. I've said this for about 2 or 3 years now. Probably, no, it's going to be, he's been here since 2020. So I've been saying this for about 4 years. I do not believe in his administration. I do not have the confidence in this administration. There's no way in hell I want this guy in charge of rebuilding a team that he built and didn't address when Lonzo Ball went down, did not address it at all, didn't make any trades, any signings. I think we went like 2.5 years or something without doing anything. This is the same guy that hired Billy Donovan, selected Patrick Williams, also selected Marko Simonovic, which we've never seen, signed Devin Dotson, boo, signed Patrick Williams to a multi-year contract in 2020, signed Denzel Valentine, crap, signed Adam Mokoka, who, signed Zach Norvell, who, Noah Vonai, who, Garrett Temple, who traded Wendell Carter Jr., and we got Daniel Gafford. And then they got rid of Daniel Gafford afterwards.
I mean, again, the biggest thing to me is like the Markkanen situation, the Bobby Porter situation. It's once again, it is talent evaluation. Plain and simple. When you look at Patrick Williams and what he does, again, I talk about this constantly. When you have a guy and you see him, I don't know, what are workouts? 3 hours a day, 4 hours out of the day. When you see a guy 4 hours a day working out in your facility and you offer him a $90 million contract that can potentially sink your franchise, someone needs to speak up and say, this guy is not worth the $90 million. And if the GM is incompetent to not see that, hey, he might be a sixth man, but we can't afford to pay him starter money. You need to let that guy walk. Guys like Lauri Markkanen and again, I know like Bobby Porter was not the best player for us at the time.
Bobby Portis.
But sorry, I keep saying Portis.
Yeah.
But I mean, he kind of had that fiery attitude, kind of like Joakim did, right? Where like he played tough, but he wasn't great offensively. And sometimes like, hey, you got to take the defensive side and take that fiery attitude, because you know what? Sometimes that fiery attitude rubs off on the player next to you. Like they want to fight with you in the trenches and do things. But I haven't seen that fire or attitude since the Baby Bulls.
No, not since Heinrich. Yeah, the Heinrich and Ben Gordon Bulls. Yeah, definitely that was the last time that you had really a good push of guys that knew what they were doing. And again, those guys went through some coaching changes as well. And then when Tibbs came in,
to me, it's everything from the head down needs to be chopped off. From
ownership,
from the guy that hides behind the curtain that we never see, to AK, to Billy Donovan, to all the staff and talent evaluators. Everybody needs to go. Talk to whoever is the up and coming guy out of OKC. Talk to the up and coming guy out of the Celtics. Talk to somebody out of Golden State. Find me someone who is going to have the respect of other GMs that they're going to go get a first and not 4 seconds. Find me a guy who's going to have the respect that, you know, when we trade Caruso or Ball or Vucevic or whoever and say, hey, I got a center for you. You guys are looking to win a championship. You want to get better for the playoffs. Guess what? It's going to cost you a first. Bottom line.
Yeah, I was looking at the draft. Where's my guy here right now? The David. What am I? I am like so like exhausted. Dalen Terry, we drafted him 18th. That same year, Jalen Duren, Osama Dieng was drafted by the Knicks at 11, and Jaden Ivey was drafted by Detroit at 5. So you literally had 3 guys that were drafted in that same draft for a cup of coffee before all those moves were made, which is nuts. Yeah, there's I continue to scroll on what AK has done, and there's nothing but bust and old players that didn't make a difference for us, and the ones that did, you could have turned around and got more from. Remember Andre Drummond? You could have flipped them for a whole bunch of stuff. That's already been documented. There's just a bunch of bullshit.
No, because
they try to.
They live in this,
oh my god!
They live in this fantasy world where they think that the A seed is somehow going to beat the top 7.
No, not
and again, you know, like I understand March Madness. There's always a team in like the 30s that upsets a team in the 7. You know, like there's always upsets, right?
Right.
But that's one game, right? Now, when you're talking about the best of 5, a best of 7 in the playoffs for the NBA, it ain't happening.
The cream rises at that point. And even,
like I said,
even if you were to get 2 games on someone like that, they're still going to win in game 6 or 7. So There's no way those veteran teams with more talent are going to allow it with better coaching, just better organizations are going to let that happen. And maybe 1 or 2 games let it slip. Just let's make it a gentleman sweep. Or, hey, we need the boys at the end of the bench need an extra check. Let this one go. It's simple. It's simple. So, JC, let's I know you're pressed for time today. Possible directions moving forward. Is it going to be a full rebuild? Is it just going to be like stacking up to trade all these guards during the draft, or kind of what we've been doing? I don't know. We'll figure it out as we go.
Yeah, I think as it sits, because the trade deadline is over, basically what I'm looking at is you got a starting lineup of Giddey, Anthony Simmons, the center we just acquired, Ivy fitting in there, and Buzelis. So, I mean, that's probably going to be your starting 5 in my opinion. I still think we're in a horrible position. I think that we've already waited too long to quote unquote start losing, because there are other teams out there that are still worse than we are from a talent aspect. So, as it sits, we're still like, we're going to probably be in the lottery pick, situation, but I don't, we're going to have to pray for a miracle that, we get a top 5 pick. And the bottom line is, I don't know that it'll help us anyway, because, me and you were talking yesterday, where last year was Cooper Flag and the year before, like, I don't know of any like guy right now who is the quote unquote stud of this coming draft. Or like, where you heard about Cooper Flag when he was in high school, I haven't heard about anybody really that really is like, we need to be prepared for, 2029 because this young kid's going to be coming out. Like
I mean, there is some names that you do. If I were to tell you right now, you are going to recognize some of these names. Cameron Boozer, son of
Bull.
Yeah. He's a leading scorer.
When we traded for Boozer, I was livid. Him and his rainbow freaking shot where, he throws it 30 feet in the air for the arc to come down. And then, I called Boozer Mr. Olay. That dude didn't play defense for anything. He
never played defense, but you traded for him. Oh, yeah. You drafted. You know what you drafted when you got him. But, his son is averaging 23.3 points per game, Cameron Boozer. AJ Dybonsta. I'm sorry for butchering the name. I'm really bad at
we've talked about we are not the best with names, but
I'm notorious. If you listen since the beginning of the podcast, all I do is butcher names. So you got some players there that, again, this is going to move up and down with the tournament, but there's a lot.
They might be valuable pieces to a team, but I'm talking like
franchise changing,
right? Franchise changing. We've talked about, and again, I understand like the Kobe's, the LeBrons, the players like that are like once every 10 years. But I'm talking about like the guys that are once every 4 to 5 years, because you still get those guys. Like Derrick Rose was like the name. Anthony Edwards is the guy. You know what I mean? Like there are guys every 3 to 4 years that are like, okay, this is like guaranteed. This is a guy. Like not a once in a generation, but this guy is going to be a franchise changer. Like people are going to want to play with this kid.
Yeah, I'm looking at the most up-to-date depth chart, and Giddey's out today. Trey Jones is out still with the hamstring. Colin Sexton is obviously going to be out. He just got traded. Leonard Miller, Noah Sage. Let's see who else is out. Nick Richards, all out today. So I'm looking, okay, who's going to be my point guard? It looks like it might be Jaden Ivey or it might be Anthony Simmons or Mac McClung. Mac
What,
McClung's
point
probably the
guard?
one
No,
that's.
it's going to be Yuki.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, he's not even on there. He's not even on there. It should be Yuki. He's the only one that's familiar with the offense right now. That's crazy. He's not. He's nowhere near it. This is ESPN. That's crazy.
Yeah, he might be on like a 10-day whatever, so he may not be listed for other reasons. But yeah, no, I mean, bottom line is, I don't see the franchise being in a better place than it was 4 days ago. I don't see, any, but what I will say is, I when we talked about it the other day, is that this needed to happen, right? It's been 5 or 6 years where we're in that 8th seed, 7th seed, whatever purgatory, where it's like, okay, we make the playoffs, so the pick is so bad that we can't get better. However, like, we're in a position where we can't win either. So you're in that 7th AC, like, you're in purgatory. Like, you can't get a pick good enough to get better, and your team basically is not good enough to win. So you got to do one way or the other. Either you have to cut everybody or let their contracts expire so that you can then go sign a bunch of free agents to big contracts, or you have to tank and rebuild from there and hopefully be able to identify some studs, which the Bulls cannot do.
Yeah, the Bulls definitely cannot do that. All right, closing thoughts. Again, we're covering the Ayo trade that happened today. It's again, I did not want him to leave. I thought he was in a pretty good piece to have as a veteran to bridge into the new direction, you want to say, because I really don't think it's a direction. And again, if we're going to tank, everyone that's really good should not be playing. Again, put the Windy City Bulls up there and let them figure it out. Get yourself in a better position to get a higher, or maybe you try to get more picks by flipping these second rounders and some of these guys that you brought up. Should have kept Dieng. I'm pretty butchering that again. And played small ball tank. Small ball tank is a good learning period for young balls. Again, I'm fine. You got a bunch of young kids. Let them learn how to play. Oh yeah, you're gonna lose. You're gonna lose. But at least you have 30 games to evaluate what you have, what you don't have, and knowing what's going forward. Here's the issue with that. The Bulls knew what they had last year in Coby and in Ayo and in Vooch. And what did they do with that? Not a goddamn thing. They didn't do anything. At the end of that season, they could have traded, or even at the trade deadline. But no, they sat on their asses and did nothing. So in the comments, please drop in there whether you agree what's going on with the Chicago Bulls. Give them a grade on these trades. Hit us up on the Facebook, on the Twitter, on the Instagram. Go ahead and drop all the love or hate you want to do on the Chicago Bulls. I expect the Bulls to lose by 22. Again, if you're in favor of what they did, please bring that up. Bring up your points, because we love to argue, and we're gonna shut that down. But again, this has been an emergency podcast because of Ayo being traded, and 3 days in a row. Have you been podcasting every single day now? Yeah, right.
Yeah,
since Monday.
It's amazing what I can do when I'm on vacation.
Yeah, man, it's definitely it's fun. It's fun able to do this without restrictions of I got bowling, or hey, I got this, or hey, I got that. I mean, I did do that 15-minute, 20-minute episode on Tuesday, but I did have to go bowling. That's probably why. Israel. Yeah, definitely. Ayo trade is an F negatives, and that's the F going to AK and Mark Evans saying go fuck yourselves. But yeah, we hopefully there shouldn't be anything going on crazy tomorrow, whether it's Chicago Bears or something else. But we will be back on Monday. I thank everybody that's been chiming in and tuning in and supporting us through what's been going on. Coby and Vooch trade a B. I would say that's like a C minus because you could have got it a year earlier and got a bigger return. Maybe 12 second round picks for each one. This guy with his second round, but yeah, definitely they could have got first rounders. So, yeah, well, spring training, we'll talk about that on Monday. But JC, thanks for sharing your time. Happy birthday to you. Enjoy your dinner tonight. I know you are enjoying this vacation. Much needed for you, brother.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Nice little getaway from my job. And like I said, I've been spending some time at my second home and just basically working on my I got a classic old muscle car and just spending some time just trying to put some parts together and make little upgrades to my girl. Every few years I do some minor work and try and do some upgrades just to keep her on the road. So that's all I can do.
All right, brother. Sounds good. Enjoy your dinner and enjoy your birthday week, month.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, everybody. That is it for today. Thank you to our fans. Thank you to our listeners for sticking with us for 200 and I don't even know 88 episodes. Thank you to our sponsor, 606 Media and True Chicago Sports Fans. Check us out on the Twitter, TCSF Pod. Check us out, True Chicago Sports Fans on IG, Facebook, and I'm BigZ_606 on all of my handles, and JC Dynasty Fantasy Football or FF on the X to Twitter. So for JC, I am Big Z. We'll see you next time, which should be Monday, for episode 289. And until then, be good to each other for the love of sports.